What I find so striking is there are two standards. You've got Kamala Harris, and they're going, oh, well, wait, what is the long-term impact of this, and why hasn't she talked about the next round of quantitative easing? Well, Donald Trump burps, and everybody laughs and goes, oh, man, he tells it like it is.
Yeah.
The old double standard that, it's MSDNC, that's Mo Yarborough. He's got mental issues. With his semi-inflatable flotation device of a third wife with one-digit IQ, that's not easy. That's for sure. But she's a million-dollar journalist at NBC Fake News. NBC Fake News. Our media, the most corrupt institution in America. You can tell they're lying because they're breathing. They don't have to be speaking. If they're sitting there in silence, by themselves, alone, in a decompression chamber, they're lying in silence. Remarkable stuff. Yeah, that's Joe. He's got his finger on the pulse. If you get your news, I'm making quotation marks with my fingers, from those people, then let's just say you're not very well informed here. You're not really up to the conversation that we're about to have here. Happy Thursday and welcome back. Not just Cotter, but everybody. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. We don't think that George Soros is buying anything around here. He's the communist wing of the Communist Party, buying up apparently hundreds of radio stations, and Joe Biden's FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, fast-tracking the Soros buy. The son of George Soros, he's Alex Soros, a billion-dollar residence or whatever in New York. And who's he dating, Michael? Who's he? When I say dating, I think you know what I mean. Who's he dating? Humma Wiener. That's who he's dating. He's dating Humma Wiener. Pretty amazing stuff, I've got to say. Wah, wah, wah. Humma Wiener, when he was running for office, and he had a lot of interns working in his office, and they're all women. And all the women interns, he gave them the same name. They had real names of their own, but he gave them all the same name, which was Monica. He called them all Monica because, the Clinton White House and all that stuff. Womp, womp, womp. Monica, oh Monica, she plays the harmonica. Monica, the White House intern. What? What is that? Well, it's kind of an updated Marx Brothers things. But never mind that. So Kamala, remember her? She's apparently running for the presidency of the United States. Can you believe it? What's she doing about that, you might ask? Well, she did. They love to call it a sit-down, like it's a mafia meeting in the woods somewhere. But Kamala, she did an interview with Stephanie Ruhle. I played the Stephanie Ruhle audio for you yesterday when she was on Bill Maher on HBO, another propaganda outlet for the left, for the Democrat Party. The left is coming for your rights. The left is coming for your rights. But Stephanie Ruhle, who is a Democrat Party masseuse, she is from the steno pool down at the DNC, stenographer pool down at the DNC, and she dresses the part, kind of. Did you see I don't know, well, maybe we'll get to that later, but she, pretty amazing stuff. She's definitely from the steno pool down at the DNC, and she performed an act of journalistic gratification upon Kamala Harris on MSDNC TV, and they aired it last night. It was kind of embarrassing for everyone, but it turns out they're so shameless that they have literally become unembarrassable. And I've been talking about this for years. No sense of irony, right? And unembarrassable. They're not capable of embarrassment, of personal embarrassment, even though they embarrass themselves almost constantly. Kind of amazing. And speaking of which, Joe Biden went on a TV show called The View. The View. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. They don't view much, and they have the most miserable people in the world, and it's kind of ironic because they go by the names of Whoopi, and Joy, right? And Happy. Yeah, no, Sunny. There's Sunny and Whoopi and Happy. No, and Joy. And they're among the most miserable people sucking up oxygen on the planet Earth. And they have these, again, no sense of irony. They have these ironic names. And so Joe Biden sat down with them. It was another sit-down. What else would you do? Would it be a standing interview? Of course it's a sit-down interview, for the love of Mike. But the amazing stuff, Joe Biden, he went on there, and they're like, hey, what do you think of Nancy Pelosi kicking you off the cliff like the Democrat hatchet man that she is? I know she's not a man, but for them it doesn't make a lot of difference. So you can go ahead and call him whatever you want. So some idiocy on, well, there's idiocy on The View every day, of course. Don't be silly, but we've got that for you. Joe Biden on The View, he doesn't say anything good. Kamala on MSDNC with Stephanie, the Steno Pool Rule, and she's giving massages. She got some of that oil, because there's a lot of oil to go around from P. Diddy's house. Got some of that P. Diddy oil. They should set up a website where you can buy some of P. Diddy's oil, shouldn't they? Because he's got thousands and thousands of bottles of oil in his many multi-million-dollar homes. Just another typical Democrat, honestly. The Democrats, they got a lot of issues. Boy, do they have a lot of issues. A lot of them are sexual in nature and gender-oriented because of the problems they have with their brains. Remarkable stuff. And Melania Trump did an interview with Ainsley Earhart at the Fox News Channel. And Melania Trump is our most wonderful first lady, maybe since Dolly Madison or something like just amazing, just wonderful. Do you know that she speaks every language on the planet Earth? Did you know that? She speaks more than 7,000 languages, 7,000, fluently, every one of them. She doesn't really, but she speaks, I think, 6 languages, which is more than me. I speak one, but, I talk it pretty well. So unlike so many people in public life today. But Melania Trump, wonderful interview, talks about the attempted assassinations of her husband, who she genuinely seems to like and admire in this interview. And it's, she doesn't come out a lot for this sort of thing because she's, what's the word, normal. She's like a normal person. An immigrant from an Eastern European country, fled communism, came to the United States. Look at her life story. And the news media, every chance they get, they hit her in the back of the head with a shovel, like it's, the movie Psycho Part 2, because the news media, they're really kind of the Bates Motel. They're Anthony Hopkins. They're Norman Bates, the Norman Bates news media. They're not normal people. They're not well-adjusted people. Which reminds me, we have Remember Normal wear at the Chris Plant store, including T-shirts and coffee mugs. In fact, I think we just got in a new shipment of coffee mugs with Remember Normal. And now more than ever, it's kind of like Nixon, now more than ever. Now more than ever, we must remember normal before it's extinguished. Oh, yeah, speaking of extinguished, we played the audio for you yesterday, but Joe Biden's Commerce Secretary and a now former governor for the Democrat Party of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo. Is she with an organized crime family at all? She said that Trump has to be extinguished. I don't know how many times you got to shoot the guy, but honestly, and let me tell you this also, a big topic of conversation for whatever reason in the last 24 hours in my world, and I've dipped in and out of several different worlds in the last 24 hours, and there is more talk than ever about Donald Trump's safety and security and the Secret Service and more, because, I think that with everything that's happened and everything we've heard and the way our government is behaving, I honestly think that Donald Trump may be in more danger now, personal danger, his personal safety. I think he may be in more danger now than he was a month ago, 2 months ago. It is the crazy people are out there, and they're using the most incendiary, the most bombastic language, the most hateful language, because they're a murderous bunch, a bloodthirsty lot. They really are. And, there are polls out there. I shared the polls with you, and Michael Piercy and I were texting about this yesterday. And I was out with Randy, our friend Randy, who runs the Chris Plant store, as a matter of fact, where we have the T-shirts and the coffee mugs with all kinds of good stuff, including Remember Normal before it's completely gone. And this poll, there was a poll taken not so long ago after the first assassination attempt on the number of Democrats who were willing to say, oh, yeah, I wish that he had been killed, because the left teaches hatred and they teach millions of, in particular, young people, but not exclusively, because if you're a crusty old Democrat like Joe Biden, you're probably bloodthirsty too. I don't know what happened to the Democrat Party, but this is not the Democrat Party of my mother, I'll tell you that much, a Kennedy Democrat, my mother, my dear departed mother, a lifelong Democrat, but nothing like these mental cases today. I can tell you that. Just remarkable stuff. Kamala is planning on heading to Arizona tomorrow because they're going to have a fake, I've been to the border photo op. And there are some Democrats who are recommending that she not do it because after 3.5 years, she'll just look like an idiot for not having gone for the last 3.5 years. She had a fake photo op in El Paso, Texas in 2021, but she didn't actually go to the border. The news media lied and pretended that they did, but that's what the news media does because they're the most corrupt institution in the United States of America. The American news media, quite terrible, really is. Also, the Democrat mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, looks like he's going to the can. He's a former police officer. Do you think, Michael, he'll like it in the can? Because he's a former police officer, and now he's the Democrat mayor of New York City. And it looks like he may be headed to the Hoosgow and the can, to the whole thing. So Eric Adams indicted yesterday, federal grand jury. Looks like he's been taking gifts, let's say gifts, kind of like gold bars. Bob Menendez, the Democrat senator, member of the United States Senate from New Jersey. Not that there's any organized crime in New Jersey or anything. That whole Sopranos thing that was all fiction, wasn't it? That was a fictional TV show. But gold bars, Bob Menendez, with the gold bars in the pockets full of cash, got a lot of cash around the house, Doesn't everybody, he says, Bob Menendez? And didn't he have that thing with child prostitutes in the Dominican Republic? But when you're a Democrat, P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Anthony Weiner, the whole gang, Humma Weiner. And there's Humma Weiner with Alex Soros in New York at a fundraiser for who? Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. They're not on our side. These people are not on the side of the United States of America. And a lot of them have made their way, wheedled their way into the country and into positions of power entirely in the Democrat Party. Isn't that amazing? Because that's what they do. I think a lot of them might be crooks. Speaking of which, Nathan Wade, remember Nathan Wade? He was dating, I'm making quotation marks with my fingers, he was dating Fani Willis, the prosecutor, prosecuting Trump for, in a political lynch mob. The Democrat Party is the party of lynching and always has been. Ropes, trees, horses, torches, the whole thing. That's your Democrat Party. Just a little slice of the Democrat Party. But Nathan Wade was dating Fani Willis in Atlanta, Georgia. And now he has been summoned to the U.S. Congress to testify because there's an investigation going on into Fani Willis. But Nathan Wade has gone missing. He's gone missing. You think the Democrats put him in a barrel, took him out on the boat, dropped him in the ocean? What do you think? Because Nathan Wade is nowhere to be found. So the Congress is now knocking on the doors of the U.S. Marshals to see if the U.S. Marshals can find the Democrat, Nathan Wade, who was brought in to bring the rope to the Donald Trump lynching. But he's MIA. What happened to him? Maybe he went to Mexico and joined a cartel, something like that. Pretty amazing stuff. And also very exciting, the Senate yesterday under the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer. Not a funny man, not an honest man, not a truthful man. Not a man with integrity, but he's got that creepy lizard smile with his tongue hanging out of his mouth like a bad cartoon character. But they passed a short-term spending bill. Oh, no, we've averted a partial government shutdown. I love it, really. I like a complete government shutdown better than a partial government shutdown, but that's me. But don't worry, because it only funds the government through December 20th. So now they've got a Christmas crisis that they've scheduled because the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, is filth. He's filth, I tell you. How many Democrats today are going to go to prison that I just lined up for you here? And they got rid of the SAVE Act, which would require that you got to show that you're a U.S. citizen before you can vote, because Democrats are fighting hammer and sickle to make sure that people who are not citizens can vote. You can already do that in Washington, D.C. legally. That's our nation's capital, so to speak. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. The Democrats, they're completely out of control. And we're looking at a strike coming. The Longshoremen's Union, may shut down ports on the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico. Lickety-split. And that means we're going to have problems with what, Michael? With what? Bananas. We're going to have problems. We're not going to get bananas. Better stockpile bananas now. Put them in your freezer. Get them green because, and this is the Democrats. If the unions, screw us over, that's the Democrats do because they're all sleeping together, aren't they? And we remain at 888-630-9625. Remember when the House of Representatives came out, about a month ago and revealed that the Biden family had taken in $27 million from foreign interests for providing no particular services of any kind to anybody? Well, now we got Eric Adams. Apparently he's vacuuming up. It's the Democrats think being corrupt is just the job description, not a part of the job description. It's the job description. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so the mayor of New York, he's a Democrat. He's a former police captain, too. And looks like it's the can for him. It's the kind of remarkable, but not surprising, I've got to say. All right, we remain at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Michael. Let's go to Michael. Where is Michael? Calling from, I apologize. Let me go to Paul, calling from Leesburg, Virginia. Paulo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Kamala Harris is going down to the border apparently again, and I haven't seen in the press where anybody's mentioned her plan to legalize prostitution.
Well, that's just not necessarily related to the border, but, they are bringing in a lot of child sex traffickers and things like that. You're right, though. She has in the past talked about legalizing. She calls them sex workers. Sex workers.
Yeah, I don't know what her purpose is, but I mean, don't you think it would just be easier, given Biden's mental state, just to get a pardon?
Now you've thrown a few things there into the hopper. That's fun though. You're 100% right that Kamala has in the past talked about decriminalizing sex work, which is prostitution, because they all want their daughters to grow up to be street hookers, and they figure the open borders thing might help with that. And, the sexual assaults on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard by illegal aliens that they flowed into the country, and all the murders and all the rapes. The Democrats, it seems, Paul, they want more of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's talking about it. I haven't seen it anywhere recently.
Well, you're right. Maybe we can find the audio for you of Kamala talking about sex workers and how it shouldn't be illegal. And, hard drugs shouldn't be illegal. They're making everything better.
Now, on the issue of providing a safe place for sex workers, I am a huge advocate for that, always have been.
Do you think that sex work ought to be decriminalized?
I think so.
Heck yeah. Who doesn't like prostitution? The Democrats love prostitution because they're always looking out for women and the interests of women. It's bringing Pound Me Too to a whole new level, don't you think? You're a Democrat Party. They legalize hard drugs. They legalize pot already. I talked about this about a week ago. They're taking away the Corleone family's action. They're taking away all the Corleone family's business. They got the gambling. They legalized gambling so they could wet their beaks, so they could take their piece of the pie, just like the Corleone family. So now gambling is legal practically everywhere because the Democrats realized they could chisel away at it, and the gangsters would be beholden to them. I preferred it when the gangsters controlled gambling. How about you? And now they literally want to, they unionized prostitutes in San Francisco, which, boy, got to bring truckloads of antibiotics in there, huh? What do they changed the name of STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. They changed it to STIs. STI sounds like an airplane or something. As to sexually transmitted infections, because they like the word infections better than the word diseases, right? I was texting with a friend the other day and said, it'll always be VD to me, right? It'll always be Burma to me. And it'll always be VD, just venereal disease. Can you leave it alone? These guys, they're not well. But Kamala wants to legalize sex workers. I would imagine that it's difficult work. I was going to say hard work, but I changed it at the last moment to difficult work. It's got to be difficult work for these. And they want young women to grow up in a world where this is a career option. You know why they're doing this, Michael? Jobs. That's why. What kind of jobs? I can't talk about that here on account of FCC regulations and stuff because can't just go around saying things about what the Democrats want to do. Jobs, but it's about the jobs they got. And do you think that she has that stepdaughter who's covered with the tattoos and she's emaciated and looks like a freakazoid? Looks like she is, I don't know, bucking for a role in Sophie's Choice 2. Could you make Sophie's Choice 2? I think that'd be a hard movie to make a part 2, wouldn't it? You'd have to make it somebody else's choice. Maybe Kamala's choice, something like that. And then her stepdaughter, not a real daughter, stepdaughter could jump in and play the role. Concentration camps and all that stuff. Completely crazy. Crazy times, the Democrat Party. Man, oh, Manischewitz, I am telling you. Womp, womp, womp. Yes, sir. All right, let's see. We've got a lot of stuff to get to because Kamala did her first ever grown-up TV interview, but it wasn't grown-up at all because Stephanie Ruhle didn't ask any follow-up questions when Kamala gave really idiotic answers and said ridiculous things over and over again. What was her favorite word? She introduced a new word last night, and it was kind of funny. She every now and then she latches onto a word. And President Trump had a few things to say about her as well. He had a public event, not a fluff job, last night. He was campaigning. She was just being fluffed and remarkable stuff. Yes, sir. So let's tell you what. Let's go to Kamala with her friend, her close personal friend and confidant, and her masseuse from the DNC, Stephanie Ruhle. Maybe a few more rules. Maybe a few more. I haven't told that story in a long time. Maybe a few more rules. All right, let's go to, it'd be soundbite number one in this case. Kamala Harris with Stephanie Ruhle getting a vigorous massage. A lot of oil from P. Diddy's house was used. And was Harvey Weinstein on the phone? Did they have him? Did they pipe him in from prison? How about Jeffrey Epstein? Was he? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. All right, let's go to soundbite number one. Kamala and finally, some talk about policies.
For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of...
Dreams, ambitions,
aspirations. What I believe you do.
What?
You're in my plan.
But no, the question was, how would these policies work? And she didn't say anything related to the question. And Stephanie Ruhle didn't say, well, wait a minute, you didn't answer the question. What, are you, an idiot? Which, is probably what she was thinking. But on the other hand, maybe Stephanie Ruhle is similarly situated intellectually, and her limits may have been on display as well. And was it the dreams and the ambitions, then these policies for, yep, no, but you haven't said anything about anything. That was just more, what about your neighbor's lawns? Everybody likes to talk about her neighbor's lawns because she loves to talk. When she was growing up, her neighbors took care of their lawns. Most people do. But they believe that illegal aliens are here to take care of your lawns. That's why they want more slave labor, more cheap slave labor, non-English speaking. The party of slavery lives in the Democrat Party. The Confederate States of America are being reformed before our very eyes. And it's all across the country this time because the Democrats. Kamala and her friend Stephanie Ruhle.
I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition. We have aspirations.
What about your policies?
We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic.
We can see what's possible.
But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things.
Yeah, sure. That's why, immigrants flock here by the millions from around the world and risk their lives to swim across the raging waters of the Rio Grande, and alligators and vultures. There are no alligators in there, really, but it's they got the coyotes that they have. Those are people, though. And the coyotes love the Democrat Party. So she's babbling incoherently about nothing, and Stephanie Ruhle sits there nodding like there's pearls of wisdom are being imparted. Just remarkable stuff. This is what you get when you're a Democrat running for president.
My vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are,
illegal aliens,
have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions.
Yeah, because that's never happened before in the United States of America. An opportunity economy. You know what an opportunity economy is? It's a functional economy, a thriving economy where everyone, not just these people over here or those people, based on whatever, their race usually when it comes to the party of the bullwhip, but the opportunity economy. The United States of America is known as the land of opportunity, and a big part of that is our thriving economy. But it's not thriving very much under you. You inherited a 1.4% inflation rate. It had been 1.2% before you were elected. But after you were elected, you and Joe Biden, then it already started to go south. And then you gave us 9.1% inflation, and interest rates are so high that nobody can afford to buy a house anymore unless you have cash. Got to buy your house for cash, and the Democrats are okay with that. Remarkable stuff. So absolutely nothing coherent coming from her crooked lips. And Stephanie Ruhle just issuing the Democrat Party tongue bath.
I come from the middle class. Look, my mother raised my sister and me. She worked hard. She saved up. By the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home.
PhD.
And, home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive.
Because of you.
Gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream.
Gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream. Gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live and she put the word actually in there, actually live the American dream. Well, if you're talking about interest rates being so high that nobody can afford to buy a house, you're in your 20s or in your 30s. The average age of a new home buyer and a first-time home buyer has gone up by like 8 years or 10 years or something under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Because if you're 27 years old and you want to buy your first condo or little house to get your chip in the game, these interest rates make it pretty much impossible because you can't afford to buy it anymore. But she doesn't understand that. This is a complex math question, I think. Kamala and Stephanie Ruhle, she's still price. What is it? Not gouging. Yeah, she's still price gauging. She's going after capitalists because she claims now it's already against the law to price gouge in, I think, almost every state in the union. And you don't need to do anything that she says. But if you say you're coming after companies for price gauging, they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. And so she's anti-free market, but here comes the state, the hobnailed boot of the state, to stomp on people that are trying to start businesses.
How do you go after price gouging without implementing price controls? Because once we get in this zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So just to be very
frank,
I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people.
Nobody does that.
Yes, I'm going to go after them.
So price controls, she said, yes, price controls, which is the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union collapsed in a fiery ball of death and mayhem. But pay no attention to that because, yes, she said, she didn't say, I'm just going to do the right. No, I'm going after them. She is just stupid enough to be a Democrat candidate and just smart enough to be dangerous to because she'll have power to abuse. And these commies, she's like, Angel Ortega in Nicaragua. I like to say Nicaragua because El Salvador. Where else? Guatemala. I like to say Guatemala like that, too, because the Democrats pronounce it like that.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Price gauging on food, and it's going to be a ban. What they don't want to ban, they want to make mandatory. What they don't want to make mandatory, they want to ban because their orientation is authoritarian, and they view the state as a cudgel, as a sledgehammer. That should be used to smash everything around them because they have power and they're bitter about what happened in junior high school and high school, whatever that was, but it must have been quite tragic given the way they ended up. Kamala Harris with Stephanie Ruhle being fluffed. Just amazing stuff. And this is how she describes, she doesn't understand what tariffs are.
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity.
Look at his economy.
He's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues.
Sure. You don't understand them.
Be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation.
What are you going to do?
At a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment and what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
It's the return on investment. Or she calls it the ROE. It's it'd be ROI, return on investment. But, President Trump explained on the stump the other day because he's actually campaigning and not being fluffed and getting tongue baths from the fake media. He explained that when Mexico is allowing scads of illegal aliens and drug smugglers and human child sex traffickers and all the illegal gang members from South America, they were allowing all these illegals through their southern border, knowing that they were coming to our southern border. President Trump told Mexico, and he talked about it on the stump the other day, he told Mexico, hey, I'm going to slap you with tariffs that will, rock your cocaine industry right down to your moccasins unless you secure your southern border. And they said, oh, yes, sir, 3 bags full. And they immediately secured their southern border. And he said, okay, now I won't slap you with tariffs, you bunch of expletives deleted. Amazing stuff. Kamala Harris getting the old you-know-what from Stephanie Ruhle.
Some of the work is going to be through what we do in terms of giving benefits and assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars, and looking holistically at the connection between that and housing.
Holistically.
And looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner.
Holistic.
That includes prioritizing affordable housing.
I don't think she knows what that word means. She used it over and over again there. She used it more than the word and, I think, holistically. It's a polysyllabic word, but she doesn't understand it. She doesn't know what it means. Isn't that amazing? Hey, how about raising taxes? Don't you think millionaires and billionaires and those awful, terrible corporations that employ everybody should pay their fair share? Because they don't already, because Joe Biden's been, in government for a half century.
Giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP
what does that have to do with getting your
Senate,
first home?
Where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
What?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes. And we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and
first home
billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share.
But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share?
She has
but
no idea.
They're not leaving our country.
Not a clue.
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share.
Pay their fair share. Yeah, it's because that's it. That's the commie Obama line. You guys have been in charge of the government. I don't know if you're aware of this. You should take a look at your business card and see what your job title is. You guys have been in charge for 3.5 years. It's your 4-year term is almost over. 4-year term is almost half a decade. This is your job. It has been for some time. You were a senator before that. Joe Biden was a senator going back to the Eisenhower era or something, and And you guys are in charge of taxes, and you've bankrupted everything, and Social Security is bankrupt. And now you've set the tax code, and billionaires pay what Joe Biden and you voted to have them pay, you lying Sacagawea. Honestly. And those terrible corporations, well, you can tax them, and then that'll be passed along to us. But if you're too dumb to know that, then you should probably resign in disgrace and go, what is the sex work? Maybe a sex worker, I don't know. So they're sex workers. Then it needs to be legal. All right. Now, if Stephanie Ruhle asks Kamala Harris, what does CEO stand for? Do you think she'd be able to answer that question? What is a CEO? Is that a sex worker of some kind? Then, honestly, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Sid, calling from Los Angeles, California. Sid, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris.
There you are.
I was thinking about how you doing.
Good.
Anyways, I was thinking about how Kamala takes everything from Trump. You know, she keeps on talking about the opportunity economy.
Yeah.
Remember Trump and Tim Scott came up with opportunity zones, and she steals ideas and words from Trump, just takes them on, and nobody calls her on that.
If only we had a news media in the United States of America, a fourth estate that were even-handed in their approach to American politics. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? You're absolutely right. The opportunity zone's a Republican thing. And now she wants an opportunity economy, and nobody in the filthy news media notices any of this because they don't actually follow the news. They just download their Democrat Party-issued talking points by plugging an RJ11 jack into their necks at night when they go to sleep. And when they wake up, they have all the Democrat Party talking points at their fingertips ready to parrot for another day. It's the party of the parrot. Just amazing. The Democrat Party, I got a lot more on President Trump, a speech yesterday.